Yo, what is up guys, the Chat Champ here, back with another YouTube video, and this time it's going to be a different type of video. It's going to be a tier list. I've already done one of these in the past, but this time it's going to be on the strongest versions of Hulk, or Bruce Banner's Hulk to be more specific, across, his very different variations across different forms of media. So, yeah, let's just get straight into it, I guess. This video is I will be just spitting off the cuff, not scripted. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So weakest Hulk we have Ang Lee's Hulk from the 2003 movie. This Hulk has a calc that puts him at town level. However, there's a statement in the novelization that says he could quote unquote shatter a mountain. Regardless of if you give him that, it still wouldn't put him a tier higher. So yeah, even with his highest stuff, he's still the weakest, unfortunately. Next off, we have the two versions of MCU Hulk. So Savage Hulk and I'm just gonna call this one Smart Hulk. So Savage Hulk, island to country level, depending on what you think's more consistent. I'm fine with island, personally. And then Smart Hulk is just Bruce Banner in the body of Hulk, as he implies in Endgame, when he says he took the brains and the brawn and put them together. So he should just as strong. Now the Infinity Gauntlet feat doesn't count, because he was specifically able to do that because of the connection to gamma radiation. So yeah, keep that in mind. Next off, we have Ultimate Hulk. If you've seen my Ultimate Hulk video, you know that I have him at country level, small country level, casually. So yeah, there is stuff to get him higher. Like if you want to say, he scales to Doc Green, because he fought him in one of the Secret War tie-in comics. I'm not sure, but I don't think that's consistent at all, as I do state in my Ultimate Hulk video as well. Next off, we have the Yostverse versions, that being EMH Hulk and Hulk versus Thor Hulk. This version should be multi-continental pretty easily. He's, I'd say, consistently portrayed above Thor. He even fights a bloodlusted Thor in the EMH comics. Thor is mind controlled by the Elders of the Universe, and Hulk has to fight him, which is a pretty, decent reverse on what usually happens. But yeah, Thor has a multi-continental calc with his storms, and if Hulk is just consistently portrayed above him, and there is a statement that from Kang the Conqueror that says the Avengers get stronger every day at an unquantifiable rate and amount. So even if you gave both of those characters that, Hulk would still be stronger because they're growing at the same rate. And then Mindless Hulk from Hulk versus Thor. Yost, or Christopher Yost, did say that movie is canon to Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and there's no contradictions in way of that, other than the fact that Thor's outfit is different from the one that he wears in season 2 with like the chainmail armor. But I mean, comic characters change their cosmetics all the time, so it's not really a contradiction, to be honest. But yeah, this version beats down Thor about 3 times in the movie, 3 different times. Hela, upon seeing this version of Hulk in action, does not want Bruce Banner in her realm afterwards, after they get fused back together. And Thor even calls this version a Ragnarok level threat. And in Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the realms are portrayed to be planets at the very least. So yeah, we have a planetary Hulk right here. So yeah, multi-continental planetary. Moving on, we have classic Joe Fixit. At a baseline, the weakest variation of 616 Comic Hulk, at least personality wise. However, it's shown in his fight with Abomination that should the conditions be right, he can grow and exceed classic Savage Hulk in terms of strength. And that's also stated in Gods as well. So yeah, I'll put him at the low end of this tier. Classic Savage Hulk, again, higher baseline than Joe here, so he should be fine there. He also should probably go at a faster rate as well than Joe does, considering he is more prone to rage due to his childlike mentality. He's just easier to poke and prod basically and overreacts. And then you have Professor Hulk, who is just stated on numerous occasions to be the qualities, or was initially thought to be the three best qualities of Savage Hulk. Also, the best qualities of Savage Hulk, Bruce Banner, and Joe Fixit put together. That being Joe Fixit's personality, Bruce Banner's intelligence, and Savage Hulk's strength. And he's even stated at times as well to be stronger than the two other personalities. Though the idea that he was just merged out of the three is just later changed, or debunked, sorry. And it's revealed that he's a different persona altogether. So what I would say is that he's the high end of this tier, just because, again, you can interchange these two, I think, just because Professor Hulk has a mental limiter on how angry he can get, because he was afraid of, like, getting too out of control like Savage Hulk does and hurting people. So he reverts back to Bruce Banner, but with the rage and mentality of Savage Hulk. However, there is a comic where he fights Warriors Madness Thor, where Samson says that he's like pushing his mental limiter past the limit, basically. Now that is a more impressive feat than what Savage Hulk has in terms of like scaling. As obviously Savage Hulk fights Thor multiple times, and this one is just fighting a 10 times stronger Thor at his best, of course. So it would be extreme high end in that regard. Next off, we have Maestro. Now, Professor Hulk does fight Maestro, but it is noted by Maestro that he's having fun, so he's just playing around basically. And he even implies that Professor Hulk is no match for him when he says, "Oh, maybe Thor had pulled up instead of you. Yeah, he might have won, but yeah, you kind of have no chance." And then it is also stated in a few guides that he's twice as strong as Hulk. So I think putting at like, giving me his generosity, say he's not fucking around anymore, he would be fine here. But again, if you just want to be generous to Professor Hulk based on the fact that he does give him a decent performance, then sure, we can just put him at the high end here. Next off, we have Guilt Hulk from Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads. Well, basically, this takes place after Hulk gets banished to the Crossroads, and Spider-Man ends up in the Crossroads at that time with a Norn Stone, which is attracted to super powerful people. And basically, it fuses to Bruce Banner's head, and Guilt Hulk comes out, which is the persona that is basically the personification of all of Bruce Banner's guilt, such as treating Betty Ross like shit and not being able to save his mom from his dad. And Guilt Hulk even is portrayed to be like a version of Hulk's dad, like he calls himself Brian. But yeah, this Hulk should be stronger than Mondus Hulk. And I would say an unquantifiable amount. Now, the Mind Hulk. When I say Mondus Hulk, I mean the version from the Crossroads, because now, going into it, Mondus Hulk, the last time we see him properly in action is during Onslaught Saga, where he is able to damage and basically destroy Onslaught's physical body, whereas all the heroes couldn't do that. It did. It was basically his limit, kind of thing, considering that Onslaught doing all that basically separated Bruce Banner and Hulk physically. But yeah, better feats than Gil Hulk here. It is also worth to mention that in Bruce Banner's Mindscape, it took Professor Hulk, Savage Hulk, and Joe Fixit to beat Gil Hulk. Now, obviously, it is also stated that that isn't a literal physical battle. Obviously, it's taking place in Bruce Banner's mind, though, based on the idea that all these are just mental representations of. If you think that, because they are stated, like, his mentality is literally stated to be directly correlates with his strength, then yeah, they're fine representations of what they would be in the real world. Then yeah, that can also be used as a piece of evidence for Gil Hulk being higher. Next off, we have, I do believe, Doc Green. Now, Doc Green is he's basically Savage Hulk, but basically his baseline, because he refuses to get angry. Now, using that, what does he do? He fights Red Hulk, but he specifically has Red Hulk nerfed by Deadpool, so he can't absorb energy to make himself stronger. Therefore, he fights base Red Hulk. And even then, he still has a bit of diff, and that's after he prepped by learning martial arts from Iron Fist. But I'd say the best thing he has is fighting or stating that he's possibly the strongest being on the planet, which would put him above Endosim Iron Man. Endosim Iron Man, with his suit, could tear apart the Hulkbuster scene in World War Hulk pretty easily. And although once World War Hulk gets his bearings, he does kind of shit on the robot. That version of the Hulkbuster does put up a decent enough fight to scale to an earlier version of World War Hulk within that arc, as World War Hulk's performance output and power output goes up as he runs the gauntlet throughout all of Earth's heroes. And obviously, World War Hulk, even early on, is stated to be stronger than ever, so he would be stronger than both of these two. So yeah, that's that line of scaling. And then Clur, he's just an inverted version of Hulk, the Hulk's Hulk, thanks to the Axis event, Red Onslaught's mind hacks and all that kind of stuff. Nova, Kid Nova, states that he's the strongest being, the strongest, most powerful force on the planet. Again, how reliable is that statement? We don't really know. Nova hasn't met everyone, so. But yeah, he should at the very least just be unquantifiably stronger than Doc Green. Oh, now, moving on to probably one of the more well-known, or most well-known versions of the Hulk, World War Hulk. What does he do? Runs a gauntlet through some of the strongest beings on Earth. You have Hulkbuster Iron Man, Sentry at the very end of the arc. Obviously, he's able to damage Zom Strange, and put him down for the count after Zom Strange kind of gets distracted. Who else does he fight? He beats on Hercules, almost kills him. It's said in a guide. He beats on Trauma, which is Nightmare's son, and he can basically turn into the worst fears of the characters, and he turns into Abomination and Juggernaut, and he should have the power level of those as well. And Hulk still wiles on him, basically. And then full power Juggernaut also pulls up, and Hulk. People like to say that Juggernaut was winning. I don't really agree with that. I'd say they were pretty much equal. And the only reason Hulk gets rid of him is because, well, it's just a waste of time, and he's also stated to be like a tactical genius. Uh, so obviously using Juggernaut's power against him, being unstoppable, and just letting him run off into the sunlight, into the night sky kind of thing is, a tactic. And obviously Hulk wanted to get to Xavier as fast as possible. So, yeah. So again, early version of Hulk, World War Hulk. So he would just get stronger throughout the arc. So yeah, he's there. Next off, we have Null, Hulk when he's influenced by Null or the Serpent's Hammer. This version fights Thor. Now Thor is in that arc. People like to say Thor won. I'd say again it was a tie, just on the basis that Thor knocks Hulk into space. Hulk is still conscious. Thor falls unconscious and almost dies. Like he says that he has to get back to Asgard so Odin can heal him. And yes, it was Hulk that delivered that blow, as it stated in an article in Marvel.com. So before any people try and jump on that, oh well, it was Hulk and Thing. Well, Thing was basically a non-factor, considering he gets casually one-shotted by Thor in that same fight and almost dies. And had it not been for Franklin Richards healing him. Now, obviously, people are probably going to bring up the fact that Thor is weaker than Sentry. I would say that Thor at that point had gotten stronger, to the point where he's stronger than that the Sentry scene in World War Hulk, as that one was getting increasingly unstable, and he's probably one of the weaker versions of Sentry. Whereas like Thor is able to put up a decent fight against Void Sentry in Siege, for what that Sentry was. He could have wiped out all of the entire universe had he not been stopped. So yeah, fights and almost kills a stronger version of Thor. And obviously Thor also has the scaling of, well, he's almost able to beat Red Hulk. Red Hulk, kind of beats on Sentry as well in Hulk Smash Avengers. So yeah. Next off, we have this is like World Breaker Hulk. Now, World War Hulk, World Breaker Hulk, same personas, just different tiers of power. Think of it kind of like Go Super Saiyan. It's the same person. He's just accessing a different, a high level of power, and the difference is just it is astronomical, as this version was a threat to the Dark Dimension, as stated by Umar. And she even says, before she whisks him away to the Dark Dimension, she says, "Oh, I've come to save your existence." So, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Next off, we have Sunshine Joe. I consider this version to be, this Hulk to be the weakest Hulk persona presented in Immortal Hulk. Why? Well, he downscales from Savage Hulk just based on the idea that the leader states that Savage Hulk is the strongest persona, and then before that, when they go to the Blow Blaze and try and get into the leader's structure, Savage Hulk can actually break the wall, but Joe can't. And he, even though he does later, it's implied that the leader kind of let that happen. And it takes longer for Joe to do it anyway, so it's just a better feat, basically. Next off, we have Savage Hulk from Immortal Hulk. Now, the reason I say he's this high is because Thor states that he's stronger than ever. Well, stronger than... he states that Devil Hulk is stronger than... says the Hulk in Hulk's fight with the Avengers, Thor states that he's stronger than he previously was. Thor, of course, has fought Null, and he has seen Green Scar fighting Scar, so you should have a decent amount of knowledge on Hulk's personas to make that claim. And then it stated in Marvel.com in regards to that fight, where it Force says that he's stronger than any prior iteration of Hulk of 616. So yeah, it is talking about any version before. And then of course you just have the fact that Savage Hulk is stated to be stronger than Devil Hulk. Now I do think that depends on the time of day, because Devil Hulk is stronger at night. And even though he does become more accustomed to sunlight, as you come to like the middle of the issue 30 and above, he even says that it doesn't feel right, and then he's weakened. Dario Argott of the Roxxon Corporation also notes that he would be weakened as well. So yeah, he's not fully injured, and I think that Devil Hulk at night would be stronger than Savage Hulk in general in that run. So yeah, Savage Hulk here is here because of the price scaling I introduced for Joe, and then Devil Hulk is here because I think he's stronger than Savage Hulk. Now moving on. Once again, we have, I do believe it is. Let me see. We have Starship Hulk. Let me get rid of this here. I don't know why I have this. Yeah, Starship Hulk stated in the synopsis for Hulk issue, Hulk 2021 issue 1 that the Hulk's rage is on an entirely new level. So he should be stronger than Savage Hulk here. And then of course the Avengers think he's the greatest. Also Doctor Strange said he's probably the greatest that the Avengers have ever faced. So yeah, just kind of crazy. It's also important to note as well that there is a statement, that when Hulk and Banner work together, or Bruce Banner harnesses Hulk's power, that they become an amazing warrior. And that is also kind of like backed up in Hulk versus Thanos, when a weakened Hulk is trying to fight Thanos and he's getting clapped on his own. Once they team up in the Mindscape, they are able to perform better. And again, in Immortal Hulk, one of the premises of that story is Bruce Banner working together with his 3 other alters to become, quote unquote, the strongest and smartest one there is. So yeah, once they work together, they should be stronger. Also, once Bruce Banner has like proper access to the rage, can control it. So yeah, there's just that. And then of course the final tier is Titan Hulk. He's the official Hulk's Hulk, with no influence from the Axis event like Claw, and he's just an aspect of a higher amount of rage rather than Hulk being sad, which is what again Claw is. 30 feet tall, can shoot lasers out his eyes. Yeah, pretty fucking crazy. He just has better feats than Starship Hulk, who was losing to Ross's Abominations. So yeah, so that's the main list done. I have some like miscellaneous versions here. Now this is just like pseudo Worldbreaker Hulk. It's like unquantifiable how strong he is in comparison to base, if you want to call it that. So I'll just put him here. Next I have Wender Hulk. This is just Hulk as a Wendigo. He kind of gives Sentry some trouble. But I mean, Sentry obviously wasn't trying, at least in my opinion. And it's no... I don't think you... like, it's no different to how he was performing against Sentry earlier, before he turned into Wonder Hulk. So I would just put him like here. Again, it's an unquantifiable increase. So here's fine. And then we have Hulkverine from the Hulkverines crossover event with Wolverine and Weapon H. It is just Hulk with Wolverine's powers, and he also stated that he's not holding back anymore, so he should be like here. But Devil Hulk also doesn't hold back, so I guess he would be like here. Then we have Herald of Galactus Hulk from one of the What If stories. It would just be Hulk with a World War Hulk with a power cosmic, which again unquantifiable increase. So I would just he says better hack, so I would probably put him here. Space Punisher Hulk, this dude is just dog shit, absolute ass. I would just put him in a whole tier below. And the reason I say this is because all the versions of the characters that he fights are just completely different versions to the ones we know. Therefore, they have no scaling. But if you were to use the statement from the author or the writer of this comic, where he states that the Galactus that's mentioned is as strong as the Galactus that we see in 616, then I guess you could come to some conclusion of where to put him. But again, Galactus in 616 varies in power a lot. So yeah, I think it's best to put him in question mark tier. If you that's if you gave him that kind of scaling. Other than that, I would put him in just an official tier lower than Ang Lee's Hulk. Zombie Hulk again has no feats, to be honest. Kills a fodder version of Galactus. Zombie Thanos, fodder as fuck. Magneto states that when the ultimate version of the Fantastic Four go into the zombie universe, the Magneto from the zombie universe, before he dies, states that he has beaten Hulk, or at least held him off multiple times in the past. So yeah, this version sucks, and he also loses to Ultimate Thing as well. In a straight up fight with no other interferences, unlike Ultimate Hulk. So yeah, fodder ass. Venomized Savage Hulk from Immortal Hulk Absolute Carnage should just be above, like unquantifiably, I guess, above Savage Hulk. Uniforce or Enigma Force Hulk, it very much depends on what scaling you give him. If you go with the idea that he's able to combat null, then I would put him probably above Joe Fixit, Sunshine Joe, sorry. So yeah, and then you have Hulk after he absorbed Nyx's power. This is Devil Hulk, and he states he's stronger than ever. I would just put him there. And then you have Contest of Champions Maestro, who, despite having the the remainder of the ISO 8 power of the ISO 8 sphere, he kind of struggles against century level threats. Blue Marvel's able to land a hit on him and knock him like a dozen feet away and all this. He has like some pretty shitty anti feats. So I honestly don't know where to put him. I would just put him here. I guess with the most generous form of scaling, you could just put him somewhere in B. But I'm fine with him here. But yeah, that's every version on the template ranked. This was pretty fun. I liked it. I've had this template made for a while now. I've always kind of changed up a bit, but this is the rankings that I feel comfortable with at the moment. Again, you can change some of them around. I don't disagree with that at all. Like Maestro could probably go a tier higher. Wonder Hulk. Maybe put him there. Who gives a fuck really? Some contentions about MCU scaling, I'm sure, as well as Ultimate scaling. But other than that, again, I'm fine with this. If you guys have any contentions with the placements, feel free to comment. We can hop in a VC on Discord and talk it out. But other than that, yeah, thanks for coming by and listening, and I'll see you in the next video.